Welcome to the Marketing Boost Solutions Podcast, the #1 source for proven solutions to all your marketing challenges.
Today on the Marketing Boost Solutions Podcast, we're diving straight into one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face, turning marketing activity into actual revenue. My guest is someone who has built her entire career fixing that exact problem. Jasz Rae Joseph is a revenue strategist and HubSpot expert who helps B2B companies simplify their systems and finally align their sales, marketing, and customer experience so everything works towards measurable, consistent growth. She has helped teams streamline messy tech stacks, tighten up their funnels, and build the kind of automation and visibility that stops leads from just slipping through the cracks. What I appreciate most about Jasz is her practical, no-fluff approach. She's not talking about shiny objects or trendy tactics. She focuses on clarity, alignment, and systems that actually move the bottom line. Today, we're going to break down what really is going wrong behind the scenes when businesses struggle to convert leads, how to simplify your revenue operations, and which tools and automations actually do make a difference. So if you're tired of overcomplicating your marketing, juggling too many tools, or watching leads disappear, this is the episode you want to pay attention to. Jasz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So listen, I want to jump into this. Again, a very exciting topic for any business out there. You need to, we pitch and teach our community that you've got to have automation. You've got to set up tools that work for you while you sleep. You've got to build a team eventually. I don't believe in trying to be the solopreneur that does everything on their own. Hire experts to get the job done for things that you're not an expert at, and so on. So tell us first give us the elevator pitch on you. How did you get to become this expert with HubSpot and LinkedIn that I want to talk about as well? So give us a little bit
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm happy to. Yeah. So I worked for big HubSpot Diamond Platinum partner agencies my whole career before starting my business in January of 2021. So almost 5 years ago. And through that whole process, I realized that HubSpot is this amazing tool because it's this one-stop shop where you can host your website, you can have your marketing automation, you can have your sales enablement and your sales tools. So it really gives clients that full visibility. So whenever I started my business, I wanted to continue with that theme. And it's interesting. Whenever I started my business 5 years ago, we were more of a full service marketing agency. So we were doing a lot of content marketing, we were doing a lot of social media management, things like that. And as the landscape has shifted in the last few years, we've really doubled down on the HubSpot side of our business because, as we all know, I know there's a lot of marketers listening. Organic reach is at an all-time low. AI has come into our sphere and is doing a lot of content creation for business owners. And so a lot of those services have gone to the wayside, at least in my business. And now we've doubled down on the HubSpot side because that's where we're seeing these really big wins for our clients. When we can enable their sales team, we can create automation. And then to speak to the LinkedIn side, we do a lot of LinkedIn ghostwriting. And I have built my business almost 100% on LinkedIn. But whenever I say that, I think that people start to immediately think that I'm talking about those cold, spammy messages, right? That you get that nobody likes. But that's really not what I'm talking about. I'm a big fan of relationship building in business and building this pipeline or building this funnel of community members and people who are in your network who know who you are, that you could stay top of mind with, so that whenever a need arises, instead of them vetting a bunch of partners, they immediately are thinking of you and your services.
Yeah, I want to get into that. I have never really been very successful that I know of pulling a lot of business from LinkedIn. Recently, in the last several months, I've made a big effort on it and hired some team members to help me, focus on our LinkedIn community and our LinkedIn page. So love to keep on chatting on that as well. So, but let's get
Yeah.
into revenue and system alignment. Uh, when a business is struggling to convert leads, what have you found to be some of the telltale signs that their sales and marketing are out of alignment?
Absolutely. So we have to think about the full life cycle of a lead, right? So there's the first touch point all the way through closed revenue. And there's a lot in between there. And I think that's what a lot of people, especially small business owners, are missing is that middle stage. So they will get a lead, and oftentimes those leads come in from what we in marketing call top of the funnel or middle of the funnel conversion points. So they're looking for education. Maybe they're attending a webinar, maybe they're downloading a guide, they're reading an article that you wrote. And whenever they come into your system that way, via your website, your CRM, whatever you're using, it's not appropriate to immediately reach out to them to book a sales call because 9 times out of 10, they're not ready for that. And they're immediately going to get a bad taste in their mouth for you and your business. So that's why it's so important to have automation set up so that you can nurture these leads. You can send them emails, you can send them more resources, you can invite them to additional webinars until they're ready to raise their hand and say, I want to have a sales call with you. And so I think whenever we talk about larger businesses that have a dedicated sales and marketing team, oftentimes marketing generates a lead and it's like a hot potato, right? They immediately pass it off to sales. Sales reaches out to that lead and they say, hey, these aren't good leads. They don't want to buy. And there's a disconnect there. I see it all the time. And so it's really important whether it's you doing sales and marketing as a solopreneur or if you have teams, it's really important to align that and to figure out that full life cycle for your customer. And depending on your business, that can be anywhere from a few days to a few months. I even have worked with clients where it's a few years. So you need to understand that sales cycle.
Wow. And we all want the lead to convert today. So
Hmm.
and you get
Right.
too anxious to I guess to solicit the buy now scenario, and you need to be nurturing it longer. So what is the best practices for nurturing a lead, and how many emails, how many text messages, how many etc. What do you suggest?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so, as far as what platform to use, I always recommend you meet them where they're at. So, if you are a B2B company, so you're selling to people who are corporate, who are in their email all day, I think email is a fantastic platform for you to be nurturing them. So, sending them regular emails with information about your products and services, offering to support them, offering to have a strategy call with them. If they're not business people, maybe they need text messages, or maybe they need to follow you on social media and you need to nurture them via your social media presence. So the platform is going to be really dependent on where your target audience is hanging out online. And sometimes it's a mixture of things, right? Sometimes you need to be sending them texts and emails or nurturing them via social and also emailing them. So I think that's a mix. And then I would challenge the listeners. There's not a one size fits all approach in terms of how many touch points. I would challenge you to start tracking. Start tracking how long does it take from that first touch point. So whenever you first meet somebody for them to close. And then you can benchmark against yourself, right? So you can try to speed up that process. However, I will say that as the marketing landscape shifts and changes, we are actually seeing across the board in all industries that the number of touch points somebody needs in order to buy is going up. And the reason behind that is because we are all just so bombarded right now with so much content, so many ads, so much marketing messaging that clients who used to close in 3 touch points are now needing closer to 10 touch points in order to close.
Wow, Jazz, I've got a bunch of more questions for you folks. If you're listening, don't go away. We'll be right back.
It's time to wow, surprise, and impress your clients with the most powerful customer draw card available anywhere. The Marketing Boost Solutions Show is brought to you by Marketing Boost, where you can get valuable travel and restaurant incentives to drive your leads from prospects to paying customers. Now you can offer complimentary hotel stays in over 130 destinations worldwide. Go to marketingboostsolutions.com and try it for free right now.
You just heard from our main sponsor, marketingboost.com. Folks, if you're in business and you're sitting here listening to us, well, that means you're looking for ways to improve your business and how to convert leads to how to generate more leads, how to close more sales. Marketing Boost can help you do that. We provide you with the wow, surprise, and delight factor. We give you these tools, these incentives, rewards that you can use to encourage your clients to take action, to subscribe to your newsletter, to attend a webinar, to stay till the end of the webinar, to book a Zoom call with you or your sales staff, to show up for the Zoom call, reward them with an incentive, a hotel savings card, a restaurant savings voucher. And then maybe when they buy, say, hey, if you stick with us, if you pay for 12 months in advance, guess what? 5 nights in Cancun on us. So you can see all the images behind me. Keep scrolling. We offer complimentary hotel stays from 3 to 7 nights in over 180 destinations around the world. So check out marketingboost.com if you're looking for ways to engage and wow your clients. All right, we're back with Jasz Joseph, and we're doubling down on, as she mentioned earlier, on HubSpot and the value of automation. I obviously believe in automation. Well, later we'll get to one of the products that we provide folks for that. But tell us what some more about HubSpot, what you do for clients in HubSpot exactly. And, because obviously, from what I understand, you don't work for HubSpot anymore. So what you do is you're helping people who do use HubSpot set it up properly, find the holes in their processes.
Yes.
And so let's go through that a little bit. What do you look for when you come on with a client to help them look at their tech stack and break it down and figure out where there might be screwing up?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So HubSpot is a sales and marketing tool, which I think is what makes it very unique. And so, depending on the client, we are supporting them on sales, marketing, or both, right? But I think what I want to touch on more heavily today is the sales side, because that's where we're really seeing a lot of quick wins and moving the needle for our clients. So, first and foremost, we are tracking all of our deals inside of the HubSpot deal pipeline. And that's really helpful because, like I was mentioning earlier, you need to have a lot of these metrics in order to make really strong business decisions. And so you need to understand, of all of my marketing channels, right? Maybe I'm running ads, I'm sending texts, I'm doing emails. And of all of those, which ones are generating the most revenue? And when you're tracking all of this in a singular platform, you're able to really quickly understand, okay, this marketing tactic drove us this much revenue this year, and this one only drove this much. So let's double down on the tactics that are working and let's scrap the ones that are not working. And oftentimes, I find that clients stop at the number of leads generated, and they're not able to track that all the way through to revenue, which is really the metric that we want to be tracking, right? So it's great if you got 20 leads from Facebook ads, but if none of those leads converted into revenue, then we shouldn't keep spending our money on Facebook ads. The other big thing that we do is sales sequences. So, one of the unique things about HubSpot is that you can connect it directly with your sales reps, or if you're a founder doing your own sales, with your personal email inbox. And you can send automated emails that way. So, if you need to follow up with leads, if you need to nurture them, if you need to do prospecting, all of that can be done in the background so that your salespeople can really be focusing on that human element of sales, right? Which is getting on the phone, which is building relationships. They're not worried about all the admin that comes with sales of, oh, I got to follow up with this person. They haven't answered me. I haven't sent them the proposal. All of that can be automated so that you're really doing that relationship building stuff that a platform is not going to be able to do for you.
How does a founder know if they're relying on too many tools versus not enough?
Yeah. So I think it depends. I think it's important to bring in somebody, or if you're able to do it yourself. Also, I know AI is a great thought partner in this, but to understand, is there one tool that can cover multiple tools? So that's a lot of what I do whenever I come in and onboard clients to HubSpot, is I can say, hey, you can get rid of your CRM, your email marketing platform, your proposal creation platform, right? The list goes on. And so I think it's important to understand, how can we streamline this? Because at the end of the day, if you have one platform that can do multiple things, in my book, that's always going to be a win because you're going to have that closed loop reporting. You're not going to be checking multiple areas to get all of your data. So I think that's really important. At the same time, I would love to understand, what is the business use case for each of these tools. I think that oftentimes, especially when you're working with third party partners, they have preferred tech and they'll come in and tell you, I want to use XYZ, and we trust them, right? And oftentimes that works for a period of time. But then if you feel like you're getting overloaded with your tech stack and you're saying, why am I paying for all of these tools? I don't even know what all of them are doing. I think that's when it's really important to do an inventory, either by yourself with a partner, or like I said, AI can be a really nice thought partner in that as well.
Speaking of the inventory of the tech, what are the first three things you look for when you're diagnosing a company's revenue pipeline?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, I like to ask what's working and what's not working. And I think you can tell a lot right off the bat from how somebody answers that question, right? Do they have visibility into the exact data to tell me what's working? Like the example I gave earlier with the Facebook ads. Can they tell me, here's how much revenue each of these marketing sources drove for me this year? Or are they just kind of generally saying, oh, well, we do all these things and I don't know, this seems to be working, or I hired somebody to do X, right? So it's really important for me to first understand, how much visibility does my main point of contact, whether that's a CEO or whether that's a sales and marketing person, how much visibility do they have? And then really I ask them, what are your goals, right? And I'm a big proponent of, let's do some backwards math. So if you tell me, I want to grow by $100,000 this year, amazing. What is your average order value? How many clients do we need to generate in order to do that? What's your average close rate, right? So let's do some backwards math to really understand, what do we need to accomplish from a sales and marketing perspective to get you to that 100K. I think it's amazing to have that big goal, but how can we break that down into smaller pieces to understand, here's how many leads we need to generate, here's what percentage of them will close, here's what percentage of them will give us the revenue that we need.
Yeah, good point. And break it down so so your goal gets just tighter, leaner, cleaner. You know
Mhm.
exactly what you're looking for. X amount of new leads that convert to X amount of new sales, that should convert to X amount of new revenue, and so on. A lot of small businesses say, "Hey, we have a CRM, but are they actually using it right?" And what are the biggest gaps you see in how businesses use CRMs?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of small businesses see their CRM as just simply a list, right? A database. Oftentimes it is just an Excel spreadsheet. I come in and I work with a lot of businesses who just say, "Oh, we keep all of our contacts in this Excel spreadsheet." And your CRM can be so much more powerful than that if you allow it to be, right? No matter what tool you use, they all have so much automation so that you can segment your contacts. Instead of just saying, oh, yeah, we have 4,000 contacts, you can say X are in this industry, X are in this industry. And then you can get really targeted to understand, here are the pain points and the messaging that we need for these people. Here's the pain points and messaging for these people. You can market to existing customers in a different way than you market to prospects, right? You can try to do upselling and cross-selling opportunities. You can also have automated campaigns to touch base with them if you haven't talked to them in a while, to um re-engage any leads that didn't close, right? So any leads that you took all the way to the proposal stage and they didn't buy from you, we don't want them to just die in a spreadsheet somewhere. We want to continue nurturing them to say, hey, we talked 3 months ago, I know it wasn't a good time or didn't make sense for you then. How are things going? How can I support you? How can we keep in touch? So whenever you have a CRM that's really segmented and you know what's happening with every single one of those contacts, and even better, you have automation to automatically enroll them in different nurture sequences depending on where they're at in their buyer's journey, that's when things can start to get really powerful. And kind of to your point at the beginning, you can start to make some of these sales in your sleep, right? A lot of my sales teams, they wake up and an automated email went out for them last night, and they're waking up to responses in their inbox of people saying, oh yeah, I want to talk, thank you so much for reaching out, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, or your calendar is, picked up 5 more appointments last night as you came in because your system's
Exactly.
on autopilot, request or offering people the opportunity to book an appointment and so on. What are some of the simplest automations that any business should set up to stop leads from falling through the cracks?
Mhm. I think the one that I mentioned earlier about the close lost deals is one that a lot of people are missing. We think if we sent them a proposal and they don't want to work with us, we'll just never talk to them again. And those are some of your best leads that you can re-engage because they liked you enough to get to the proposal point. They have a need that they've identified. Generally speaking, they have the budget set aside for it. And so that's a really great opportunity. Take all of those people that are close lost and continue to talk to them, continue to nurture them, continue to engage with them. Another one that a lot of people don't think about is, again, segmenting by vertical. And so I have a lot of clients who say, "Oh, we send a weekly newsletter and it just has updates with, what we're doing, resources for people." But how can we get more segmented? So maybe instead of one mass email that goes out, we have one for each of our key verticals. And I've seen time after time how our open rate, our click rate, our reply rate on those types of emails just skyrockets because all of a sudden now we're speaking directly to their pain points and things that they're interested in instead of having these general catch-all emails that they're receiving.
What would you say might be one of the biggest mistakes small business owners or companies make when implementing automations?
Sure. One is testing them, right? So we have to test before these go live because this is direct communication with your prospects and your customers. And so I think oftentimes people are DIYing this and they want to just get it up and out, right? We're all very busy, we're running these businesses, and I think we miss the testing phase. And the testing phase is so, so, so important because the last thing I want you to do is to send a mass email to everybody in your database or even a subset of your database that makes you look disorganized, like you don't have your stuff together, etc. And so testing is a huge piece of the puzzle here. Run yourself, run everybody on your team's email through these campaigns multiple times, look through them with a fine tooth comb, and that's going to be really, really important here. And I think the other one, which sounds simple, is just, the crawl, walk, run approach. I think it's really easy to get really excited about automation. And you hear people like us say, you wake up in the morning and your calendar is full of booked meetings. And while that absolutely is true, you have to crawl, walk, before you run. And so it's important to not jump in and think, I'm going to implement all of these things, I'm going to revamp everything in one day. How can we set up these really small micro automations to save you some time, to get you comfortable using the tools, to start to accelerate things? And then once those feel really solid and are working, how can we continue to build on that? I think that's really important as well.
For anybody considering HubSpot, what should they understand about the platform before switching from, something else?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, it's challenging to compare HubSpot with other CRMs because it is so much more, right? So it is a marketing automation platform, it is a customer service platform, it is a CRM, it's a CMS, you can build your website there. It really is this one-stop shop. And so I think oftentimes it it also doesn't have to be. I think that's important too, right? So there's multiple hubs inside of HubSpot. And so if it makes sense for you and your business, you can just purchase Sales Hub and you can use HubSpot as your sales tool and you can integrate all of your other marketing and sales tools with it. So that's one way that people use HubSpot. The other way is to fully onboard and use HubSpot for your full tech stack. And so I think it's important to go in understanding all of the capabilities and being able to audit to say, which of these are right for me? And not to, toot my own horn here, but I will say it's important to work with somebody who is outside of the HubSpot landscape when you're making those decisions, right? Because if you're just going straight to HubSpot's website, you're speaking to a rep, they're going to try to sell you. They're going to tell you that you need all the bells and whistles, but oftentimes that's not the case. Oftentimes I'll actually come in to my clients and save them money on their HubSpot bills because they've purchased all of these things that they just don't need right now, or they may not need ever. And so I think it's important to talk to a trusted partner, somebody who understands the tool, share your goals with them and understand what do you need right now and what can kind of be an in the future thing.
So, in my experience, HubSpot can be a bit pricey, especially as your business grows. How do you help clients navigate that pricing model so they're not overpaying? You kind of described that now, and that
Mhm.
you may not need all of the tools, but I was going through it earlier today before interviewing you again to see if I was still, accurate a little bit on that.
Mhm.
Um, but tell me, who is the best client for HubSpot? Because is it the a small company with 5 employees or less, or is it really more designed for um, larger organizations?
Yeah. So again, I think it comes back to which hubs do you need to onboard to. So Marketing Hub is definitely the most expensive. With Marketing Hub Professional, you're looking at close to $800 a month. So that's going to be more for a bigger, more sophisticated company that needs all of those bells and whistles, that wants that one-stop shop of I want to use HubSpot for everything. For my smaller clients, Sales Hub is an amazing place to live. You can set up all of these automations that I've been talking about today, and that's only going to run you anywhere from 50 to 150 a month, depending on, what platform you're on, how many salespeople you have, etc. So yes, when you look at like all of HubSpot pricing, I think it can feel really overwhelming. But like I touched on earlier, it's important to understand which tiers you need to immediately meet your goals. And is the ROI there, right? So as we look at all of the things that I've been talking about today of tracking that first touch point all the way through to closed revenue, is the ROI there? Are you going to easily make that $800 a month back, or is that going to be a struggle for you? So those are a bunch of things. There's plenty more. Another thing that I think people get really tripped up with inside of HubSpot is You pay for the number of contacts in your database. So I have a lot of clients that come to me and say, "Oh, I have so many contacts. HubSpot's going to be super expensive." The answer to that is maybe, but you only pay for contacts who you're actively marketing to, which means that you're sending marketing emails, and that's not sales emails, that's marketing emails too. So that's another important differentiator of, are you actively marketing to all of these people, or are some of them more sales contacts that you're doing one-to-one outreach with? Again, it's a very case by case
So,
basis, but these are all things to keep in mind.
so with that said, that even makes me wonder something here. Does it
Mhm.
make possible sense to keep your uh, existing CRM system and maybe add the sales aspect of HubSpot that I have not investigated to help the sales process with sales teams versus the whole overall, email marketing, text messaging to a larger, database that HubSpot gets pricey on?
Potentially, yeah, yeah. So that's one of those situations where you would have to audit, what does your existing CRM do? What does HubSpot do? Is there enough overlap there that you don't need both? Or is there a business case for keeping both of them separate? And then the other big question I would ask is, do they integrate? So HubSpot has a huge app ecosystem. So tons and tons and tons of sales and marketing apps have a native integration with HubSpot. So that's another great thing to explore. If you're using MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, DocuSign, the list goes on, those all integrate with HubSpot. So you may be able to easily just pass data back and forth there and allow those to work seamlessly together.
Cool. Does it work? Like I've used to use high rows to try to help manage the connect, the tracking of every sale that's coming, whether they're coming from Facebook or Google or LinkedIn or what have you. Does HubSpot have that built into that platform as well?
Yes. Yeah. So across the board, any HubSpot product that you purchase is going to allow you to track your ad campaigns, your website conversions, so that you can understand from a digital landscape standpoint where all of those leads are coming from. So even the free version of HubSpot, every single lead that comes into your database will have a source associated with it, and that will tell you exactly where they came from. If that was Google search, if that was a social media platform, etc.
All right. I want to take a minute, folks, to tell you about a product we're launching here very soon. Should be available by Black Friday, and want you to know, if you're an annual member of Marketing Boost, you're going to get this free. If you're not an annual member, you want to become one, because that's the Black Friday offer. So get ready for that. You'll be able to get trustbyreviews.com added to your platform, free if you step up to the annual plan of Marketing Boost. What is Trust by Reviews? We help you solicit an ongoing flow of testimonials, feedback, soliciting people to give you their honest feedback. But when they do, if it's a negative feedback for some reason, what our platform does, unlike any other, is we give you a 72-hour mediation window to try to solve the problem with that customer before that negative review goes live. If the customer does not reply or respond to you during those 72 hours, we're going to consider that a fake review and not publish it. On the other hand, we try to give you a chance to fix the problem and maybe change their review before the 72 hours. If it is a positive review, 3, 4, or 5-star, and you can decide that, we're going to encourage or help you encourage your clients to take that honest feedback and go the extra mile of publishing it on 3 or 4 or 5 different third-party review websites. So one happy customer could turn into 3, 4, or 5 happy reviews, testimonials for you. By encouraging them with Marketing Boost incentives, we'll reward them for going the extra mile of publishing their honest opinion now on multiple third-party sites. So one happy customer could turn into a review on Google, a review on Facebook, a review on Yelp, a review on Trustpilot, and it, of course, will live on Trust by Reviews. So it's a powerful way to turn every happy customer into 3 or 4 additional positive reviews on multiple third-party sites, which does what? When somebody searches your brand, you're going to be popping up on all these different third-party review sites. So we really help you solicit more reviews in a fun and exciting way, including and even doing sweepstakes giveaways just for their feedback in the first place. Hey, give us your honest feedback and have a chance to win 5 nights in Cancun. Then they come in, they give their opinion, good or bad. And if it's bad, you have a chance to work on it. If it's great, we're going to help encourage them to publish it on more and more third-party sites. And that's something none of the other platforms do. If you get Trustpilot, you get a review, it lives on Trustpilot only. So what we're helping you do here is push those reviews multiple places. Check out trustbyreviews.com free with your annual membership for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So check that out, coming very soon. Back with you, Jasz. Back to the ROI of the tech stack, rather the customer experience is where I wanted to go next on retention. You talk a lot about aligning customer experience with marketing and sales. What does that alignment actually look like in real life?
Yeah, great question. So I think from a marketing standpoint, it's really important to be talking with your customer experience team, your customer experience reps, because they're going to have a lot of insight into how your target audience, how your customer speaks. How do they talk about the problems that they're having, the needs that they're having? And then how can you use that language to then translate it directly into your marketing messaging to get more customers? So that's a really important connection to have. And then when we talk about sales working with customer experience, that's an amazing opportunity for cross selling and upselling, right? It's always going to be easier to retain or grow an existing account than to generate a brand new one. So, how can you be having those strategic conversations between sales and customer experience to say, okay, here are our best customers, or here are customers who have opportunities to grow with us. And sales, can you jump in and start having conversations with these people on what that growth could look like and how we can continue working with them in a bigger way?
Hmm. What is one small change a business can make today that could boost both conversions and customer satisfaction? Does anything come to mind that you could do with automation for that?
Yeah, I think that including your customers in your marketing is a really great way to generate new customers and continue to grow existing accounts. Like I said, oftentimes, whenever somebody converts, we immediately start excluding them from our marketing. And I think, again, as we talk about segmentation, we want to exclude them maybe from saying become a new customer, but if there's new features or resources that we're running, for example, if you have an amazing webinar that you're hosting, of course you're going to think, let's invite people that I'm trying to sell to. But it may also make sense to invite your current customers because it's important for them to continue to see you as an expert, a thought leader. They may get some ideas about things that they didn't even know about or ways to better use your services or your product in their business. So that's a really great opportunity that I think a lot of people don't think about.
So I'm taking a moment. If you happen to be on YouTube or Rumble, Spotify video, anyway, we're looking at jazzrae.com. Jasz Rae Digital here. Tell us about your site here. Are there any resources people should look at for here? And obviously, we're talking about this is some of the services you provide, your HubSpot services, LinkedIn services. What would you like to tell us about your site, folks? By the way, you can the link to this is in the show notes, so you don't need to go there right as we speak. But as soon as we're done, don't go straight to jazzrae.com.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, really, we've talked a lot today about the HubSpot services that we offer, but the HubSpot services and the content services go hand in hand, right? It's very much a chicken or the egg situation. So, when you have these amazing sales systems set up for yourself and for your business, you have to continue to feed them. And the best way to feed them is through really great content. And oftentimes, like I said, for my clients, that means LinkedIn content. For other clients, that may be blogs, lead magnets, that may be other social platforms. But It's important to note, I know we talked about this earlier in the conversation, but whenever you create that content, oftentimes what you're generating are really great leads, but they're not sales ready leads. So you need this infrastructure in place to continue to nurture them. So again, these go hand in hand, right? We have to generate more and more leads, but we also need that infrastructure to keep in touch with them and to stay top of mind so that they raise their hand when they're ready to purchase. So yeah, on my website, I have a maximizing HubSpot checklist. Feel free to check that out. That's a great place to start. Whether you've purchased HubSpot or you're thinking about purchasing HubSpot, that has a breakdown of all of the tools. So the Marketing Hub, Sales Hub, Customer Service Hub, so that you can understand what each of them do and you can start checking off each of the items that either you need or if you've already purchased the tool that you need to start using and implementing in a stronger way. There's also lots of testimonials there from different clients that I've worked with before, so you can hear a little bit about their story and what's worked for them.
Cool. Folks, I've got more questions for Jasz in just a second, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Is your business on autopilot yet? Do you have automation in place to capture, nurture, and convert prospects into clients via email, SMS, ringless voicemails, appointment setting? Get all the inbound and outbound marketing tools in one place. Go to marketingboostsolutions.com for more on automating your business so you can make money while you sleep.
You just heard from automationbooster.com. I was telling Jasz before we started recording that we do offer our own version, well, not nowhere near HubSpot. Honestly, HubSpot, in my opinion, is a higher, for a larger business, in my opinion. But anyway, Automation Booster, guys, what do we do there? We provide you with an upsell from Marketing Boost. It gives you the platform. It gives you the system to build your website, build your funnels. We have about 150 different templates pre-built for you with Marketing Boost incentives built in. So if you're looking for ways to, how do you use these incentives? How do you encourage? How do you add these incentives to whatever your call to action is? That's what we give you inside of Automation Booster, plus the entire platform. I've been an internet marketer since 1996, before Google, before Facebook. I've never seen a platform as affordable as Automation Booster that gives you the ability to email, text message, voicemail broadcasting, your funnel builder, your automation setups, and of course, we give you all the templates with Marketing Boost incentives built in. Kind of a competitor to what Jasz is offering here with HubSpot. But again, HubSpot is really another level of expertise there. And if you need that, study it, check it out, compare the differences, and look for Jasz to help you set up HubSpot, because it is a little more complex, I think, than the average sales, or than, for example, Automation Booster. All right, we're back to Jasz, and I wanted to get into more. And by the way, let's talk about your LinkedIn services as well. You briefed on that at the beginning of our call. Tell us the power of LinkedIn, why people should try to focus more on LinkedIn, and how to do it the right way. You mentioned briefly on that, but how do you do it right? Because there's so much spam on there. There's so many people reaching out nonstop. People say they click, they say, hey, I want to be your contact. And then as soon as you approve them, they're spamming you with nonstop messaging to try to get you to book a call with them or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that work? I've never booked with anybody. As soon as I accept them as one of my contacts, I get about 14 messages from them.
I know.
What
Yeah.
what does work on LinkedIn? Because I'd love to make it work for me. And one of this, but I don't know. I mean, right now we're doing a lot of pushing content, like you mentioned earlier. So we're pushing a lot of content. We're creating content. We're creating this podcast and shorts of this podcast that we publish on LinkedIn, and setting myself up as growing the audience, growing the visibility, growing people that are seeing my materials and what have you. Whether or not that's converting to sales or not, I don't know. So how would I track that better? And what else can you tell us about what works on LinkedIn?
Yeah, great question. So I am a big proponent of doing LinkedIn growth from a very human-centric place. So we're not spamming, we're not immediately after somebody connects with you, sending them a message of, hey, you should talk with us. we're leading from a very human place. And so, first and foremost, we're doing LinkedIn ghostwriting for all of my clients. And that ghostwriting is very centered around thought leadership. So, this is not centered around sales content. We're not saying, let me tell you about my product. Here's why you should buy my product. We're talking about big picture things that are happening in their industry, insights that they're getting from working with their clients, things that are very thought provoking. And we lead with a very storytelling lens whenever we're doing this kind of thought leadership work. And that really resonates with people, right? People are sick of being sold to. And we're really focused on that relationship building piece. So, how can I be vulnerable and tell you what I've been thinking about, what I've been struggling with, what I'm seeing in the market so that I can build that relationship with you? Then, of course, a step beyond that is building connections and conversations, whether that be new connections, connections in the DMs. But again, that's not from a sales centric place. So oftentimes that's first just connecting with someone and saying, hey, I love what you're doing, would love to connect. Tell me about your business, allowing them to speak first, right? It's the way that you would approach someone if you met them in a grocery store. If you met someone in a grocery store, you wouldn't immediately say, "Hey, you should buy from me, book a discovery call." You would say, "Hey, let me tell you a little bit about me. Why don't you tell me a little bit about you?" Then maybe there's a soft offer that you can give them, like, "Hey, I'm hosting a networking event. Hey, I'm hosting a webinar. Would you like to come to it? I think you might find it interesting." It's not an immediate sales pitch. It's just, let me further our relationship. And so that's really what we're doing. And because we have all of this HubSpot automation set up in the background, whenever somebody takes that first step of signing up for your lead magnet or your webinar, whatever it is, we can then continue to nurture them. The other thing I would say, as you're investing in your own LinkedIn thought leadership, is it is amazing for me and for all of my clients how many people are, like, quote unquote lurking on LinkedIn. So I will get a message from somebody out of the blue who will say, "Hey, I've been seeing your LinkedIn posts for years. And my husband just onboarded to HubSpot and needs help with it." And I will think to myself, you have never liked or commented on a single one of my posts. I had no idea that you were seeing them. But here you are raising your hand saying, "I'm ready to buy from you." So much of LinkedIn is not about those glamour metrics of how many likes or comments did I get, but it's more so about staying top of mind with your community, with your network.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. So, if a listener today does one thing after this episode to improve their revenue systems, what would you suggest?
Yeah. So I would say the number one thing that you can do if you don't have a CRM, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet, please get yourself a CRM. Whether, it's the one that you're promoting, or whether
Automation booster.
it's yeah, Automation Booster, whether it's the free version of HubSpot, I don't care. But let's get you on some kind of platform where you can start to be strategic with all of your contacts, and you can start to create automation to make sure that you're staying top of mind with all of them. So that's really an amazing place to start. And I would say, on the flip side, if you're like, okay, I feel like I have some good systems in place, but I need to start generating more leads and more business, I would say stop thinking about it from a sales perspective and start thinking about it from a human perspective, like I shared. No matter where you are, whether it's LinkedIn or someone else, how can you use that grocery store test to say, if I met this person in the grocery store, how would I approach them, right? Lead with authenticity, lead with storytelling, lead with a compliment to them, and you would be amazed at how far that gets you versus jumping in with these automated, messages that go out to everybody that people can spot a mile away.
Do you have a win or a case study you're most proud of that that generated that you could share with us?
Sure, absolutely. So I have a client there in the print production space, and very similar to what I was sharing, they were using HubSpot. They had this database full of leads And the sales team was working the hot leads, the ones that had raised their hand or had shown interest, but they also had all of these other contacts in the database that weren't really being touched. And they came to me and they said, Jazz, our sales team is working 1 million hours a week. And we think maybe, I guess we need to hire a new salesperson, but that's a lot of budget. And I said, let's set up some sales sequences for you. Let's do some automation in the background for these leads that sales doesn't have time to actively be working, but that we still want to stay top of mind with. So we broke them down by vertical. We enrolled them in different sequences for different sales reps. And after a full year of this campaign, they saw an extra $1 million in revenue just from those sales sequences alone. So that was all just kind of low hanging fruit that was sitting in their database that their sales team didn't have time to be actively working. But because they had the automations running, they were able to jump in and have that human touch point and have those calls and then close an extra $1 million in revenue in 2024.
Oh, wow. Jazz, now I want to jump into your business a little bit. Again, our audience is entrepreneurs
Mhm,
like you in
mhm.
different fields, obviously. And part of it, what would you say to inspire them? In other words, tell us about one of your worst during your entrepreneur life. What was one of the down points where you were ready to throw in the towel, or did you have one of those
Mm.
experiences where it wasn't going well, and what did you do to turn it around, and what did you do to you know keep going? Because there's times with
Yeah.
this business or being in business is not easy. So tell us a little bit about one of your worst times as an entrepreneur and how
Yeah.
you came through.
Sure, absolutely. So I have always been a consultant. I've always worked for marketing agencies. I've been in this client services facing role. And I think that I was admittedly, right, hindsight is 2020, a little distracted by like the bright and shiny, like passive income idea. And so I decided to start a networking group. And I was thinking, oh, I'll sell memberships to this networking group. And it'll be really easy. I'll just keep selling more and more and more memberships, and more people will come in, and I'll just make more and more and more money. And admittedly, like that business model was very foreign to me. It was very challenging for me because I'm used to this one-on-one consultative approach. And I ran it for 2 years. It broke even by the end of the 2 years. It never made a profit. And I was dumping like so much energy, so much heart, so much soul into it. And it was also, again, I was still running my consulting business. And I was like, okay, I have this business that's making money that I enjoy doing. And yet I don't have the time for it because I'm spending so much time trying to get new members for this networking group. And we had a really great retention rate. Our members who were in it, they loved it, which I think is also what kind of kept me going in maybe a negative way, as I was like, I don't want to shut this down for all the people that love it. But I really, really struggled to get new people in the door. It was a virtual networking business, and I think people were just at that time very Zoom fatigued and they didn't want another virtual networking opportunity. And so after 2 years, I had to make the challenging decision to just shut it down, to throw in the towel. And that was a bummer because I spent so much time and energy on it. And I think I wanted it to be this quick fix that, admittedly, we all know never exists.
It didn't happen. So
No, no.
the lesson from that to others is what?
Mhm. I would say the lesson is twofold. The first one being you have to kind of know when it's time to throw in the towel. So you have to make peace with, okay, I've invested as much as I can into this and I'm not reaping what I want to. And so I have to make that executive decision to be done with it. I think so many of us fall into that sunken cost philosophy of, well, I've spent so much time and energy on this, so I just have to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And I think the other piece of the puzzle too, and I say this, take this with a grain of salt because it's so important to learn and grow. But I think it's important to stay in your zone of genius as well, right? Like I myself am a consultant. I love working with clients one on one. That's what I've always done. And I tried to jump into this completely different vertical, admittedly, probably for the wrong reasons. And that resulted in, it not working.
Jazz, thank you for that. Next question I have for you about business. You're a
Mhm,
consultant, agency type services for
mhm.
folks or the one-on-one consulting. How do you go about what's your most effective way to find clients? Uh, a lot of we have a lot of coaches in our community and for different,
Mm,
different products and services and what have you. It's hard in these days to find clients willing
it
to pay
is.
for one-on-one coaching. What would you say is some of your most successful strategies of acquiring new clients for you?
Yeah. So one is definitely LinkedIn. I get a lot of clients via LinkedIn. Again, just relationship building. It's a long game. It's not me sliding into their DM saying, "Hey, book a call with me." It's me having a relationship with them, and then maybe a few months, a year down the road, they reach out and say, "Hey, I'm finally ready to work with you." And another one is networking groups. So while, I just shared my networking group didn't pan out, I'm a big fan of joining other people's, right? If there is a group that is already built that your target audience is hanging out in, jump in there and just start making connections. Meet with people, be a resource to them, get your name out there. And that has resulted in a lot of business, but also a lot of referrals as well. So people that I've met in these networking groups, they'll be out in the world. Somebody will say, "Hey, do you know anybody who specializes in HubSpot?" And they'll immediately say, "You got to talk to Jazz." So that's been really helpful for me as well.
Are you investing in paid advertising?
I'm not. No, I've grown my business 100% organically, just via networking and building relationships.
And within LinkedIn, if it's that kind of
Mhm,
success you've had, are you do you have a strategy of, for example, following others on LinkedIn, commenting on their posts?
I do.
Is that like a daily thing where you're commenting on other people's posts so you get noticed, and then
Mhm.
they come back and they'll look at your page and follow you, or or you focus mostly on just delivering your content and publishing your ideas and what have you? Tell us more about that LinkedIn
Yeah.
strategy of organic traffic.
All of the above. So it's very important, right? You get what you give. And so yes, I'm always commenting on other people's stuff and, engaging with them both in messaging and publicly via comments, as well as posting my own content. Oftentimes, if it makes sense, I'll even tag people in my comments or in my content to say, "Hey, so and so just wrote a really cool post. It sparked an idea for me to write my own version of it." And so again, like building those connections, bringing people into the conversation, I think is a great way to start to really grow your reach in a meaningful way.
Do you use Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or those anything for you?
I don't use any of those professionally. No. Yeah, my business is fully email, LinkedIn, and then networking groups. I'm in a lot of different like Slack communities and things like that.
And you're on this podcast, obviously, for some of the same
Mhm.
reasons to help get the word out about your business. Has
Yeah.
podcasts been effective for you across the board?
Podcasts have been really effective for me. So, one of my goals for 2025 was to be on more podcasts. And I've been on quite a few throughout the year or throughout this year. And one of the interesting things that has stood out to me, of course, I'm on a podcast and people will reach out to me saying, "Hey, I heard you on the podcast." But it also, podcasting is really evergreen in a way that a lot of other channels are not, right? When you create a LinkedIn post, it lasts for a couple days and it goes away. Where people are constantly listening to older podcasts and they're searching on podcast networks for specific topics, and they don't care if an episode comes up and it's a year or 2 years old, if it's relevant to them and what they're looking for. So I find podcasting to be an amazing resource. And it also, I think, really helps you stand out, especially in this very AI driven world right now where everybody is having ChatGPT write these big long form posts. If you can show up in these more human elements with audio and video, it helps you stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, and it's going to help you be found on SEO. When people look up your
Yep.
name, all of a sudden there's a bunch of videos of you across multiple
Mhm.
podcasts. You look more, it helps you as the expert and the authority in your realm. I asked you that because I think I recommend that a lot to people. One of the first things I did before I started my own podcast 3 years ago was go get interviewed on 150 podcasts, third-party podcasts,
Amazing.
to help spread the word about Marketing Boost. So, folks, I want to share something simple and powerful with you. If you're every single person watching this right now, you, me, your customers, we were all raised on incentives. Think back when you were a kid. Your parents didn't say clean your room because it builds character. They said clean your room because you will go get some ice cream when you're done. Incentives work. So, folks, if you're looking for ways to wow, surprise, and delight your clients, again, go check out marketingboost.com. Find ways to reward your clients for taking the action. Reward good behavior. Reward the behavior you want them to do, like refer you customers, give you a review, and so on. Check out marketingboost.com. If you like the content we brought you today, guys, please give us a like, share this with somebody else, and don't forget to subscribe to the show. Jasz, you have any final words on where people can follow you, find you? Obviously on LinkedIn. I didn't share your LinkedIn page, but we can put it in the show notes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jasz Rae Joseph, and my website, JASZRAE.com.
Wonderful. Again, those links are in the show notes. Folks, if you got questions about HubSpot or building your business on LinkedIn, Jasz is a great resource to reach out to. She offers, I believe, a free consultation, if I didn't notice that, so you can jump on a call with her, find out what it costs to hire her, and get that professional help. Again, as a business owner, I can tell you, you don't want to go at everything alone. The learning curve that you are going to learn, whether it be to set up whatever CRM you choose, learn how to use Marketing Boost correctly. If many of you sign up for Marketing Boost and you never join the quick start call, our free onboarding call where we train you how to do it. No, you try to do it on your own and then you fall on your face and you never figured out why. Same thing with using HubSpot or trying to build your business on LinkedIn. Spend the money that it takes to hire somebody better than you at a particular product or service to help you in your organization. Don't go at it alone. It's a perfect way to fall on your face until you're done and you run out of funds and you're out of business. So build a team of experts around you to help guide you. And it's an investment. It takes money to make money. So when you make a little bit, you need to reinvest it in your business, reinvest it in learning, reinvest it in training, and reinvest it in other people to help you get the job done. Folks, again, if you liked it, I really loved it. For you, any of you who stayed through the entire podcast year, love that you're here. Thank you for participating and listening. Share this, like this, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Marketing Boost Solutions podcast. Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Boost Solutions podcast with your hosts, Captain Marco Torres. Now it's on you. Take the next step now. Go to marketingboostsolutions.com for more on how you can wow, delight, and surprise your clients with the most amazing draw card on the planet. So stay thirsty, my friends. Stay thirsty for knowledge. See you next time.